weren't born to be tame. You weren't meant to shrink yourself to fit into someone else's idea of virtue. Nietzsche didn't write for the careful or the comfortable. He wrote for the one who dares, the one who feels the fire inside and refuses to dim it for the crowd. At the heart of Nietzsche's work is not despair, but will, not chaos, but creation. His philosophy was never about nihilism. It was about becoming unstoppable through suffering, through solitude, through the fierce reclamation of your inner authority. Nietzsche's will to power is not about control over others. It is about mastery over self. The power to shape your destiny instead of waiting for permission. The power to say yes to life, even when it breaks you open. This is not motivation. This is metamorphosis. In the pages ahead, we'll walk through 10 raw and electrifying truths from Nietzsche's vision of power. Each one a challenge, a mirror, a spark, because you don't need more inspiration. You need to remember who you are. Will to power is not domination, it's creation. Nietzsche's will to power is often misunderstood. It is not the will to control others, to climb ladders, or to conquer in the shallow sense. It is not ego-inflated, it is soul-ignited. The will to power is the force within you that refuses to stay small. It is the pulse of becoming, the hunger to create your own values, your own meaning, your own life. This power is not external. It does not beg or borrow. It builds. It is the artist who paints without permission, the thinker who writes against the current, the soul who dares to say, I will not be inherited, I will be forged. True power begins the moment you stop reacting and start generating. When you stop mimicking and start shaping. When you stop chasing a borrowed dream and start creating a world that reflects your inner fire. Nietzsche's philosophy is a hammer for breaking false idols, false ideals, and every script that tells you who you should be. It is a permission slip written in blood and defiance. Be the cause of yourself. You don't have to dominate to be powerful. You only have to create from your depth. Unapologetically, comfort is the enemy of becoming. You think comfort is safety, but Nietzsche knew comfort is sedative. It softens your edges. It numbs your instincts. It robs you of the friction you need to evolve, because nothing great is born in ease. Fire does not emerge from still water, and neither do you. Comfort says, stay the same. Becoming says, burn who you were, but burning hurts, so you choose the couch over the challenge, the familiar over the unknown, and you tell yourself this is peace. It is not. It is passivity in disguise. Nietzsche called for the kind of life that demands your blood. He knew the human soul needs resistance, tension, trial, that only through struggle does your higher self take form. The Übermensch is not a reward for comfort. It is the child of necessary pain. Ask yourself, where have I chosen ease over evolution? You were not made to be calm. You were made to become. And that means trading your comforts for something eternal, yourself. Stop seeking approval. You're not here to be liked. Approval is the leash society wraps around your neck, and you hold it tight yourself. You want to be seen as good, as acceptable, as worthy. But Nietzsche warned, the moment you begin shaping yourself for others, you abandon the project of your own soul. To be liked is not the same as to be real. And the more you crave applause, the more you dilute your truth. You become a mirror, reflecting what others want to see, until you can no longer find your own reflection. Approval is cheap currency. It can be bought with silence, with compromise, with self-erasure. But real power, your power, requires betrayal. Betrayal of the crowd, betrayal of the mask, betrayal of the version of you that exists only to please. Nietzsche did not want followers. He wanted fire starters. People who speak truths that fracture false peace. People who would rather be hated for being whole than praised for being harmless. Ask yourself, who would I be if no one clapped? If no one agreed? If no one noticed? Because you are not here to be liked. You are here to be free. And the price of freedom is authenticity without apology. Suffering is the soil of greatness. Modern man wants transformation without pain. He wants strength without struggle. But Nietzsche knew the brutal truth. Suffering is the price of greatness, not as punishment, but as purification. Your wounds are not failures, they are forges. And if you dare to stay present in them, if you let them carve into your soul rather than numb you, they become the very soil from which your power grows. Suffering strips away the false. It exposes what's essential. It breaks the ego, not to destroy you, but to awaken the self that lies beneath. The part of you that does not flinch, that does not beg, that does not run. Nietzsche didn't romanticize suffering, he respected it, because he knew that the individual who can suffer consciously without losing themselves is indestructible. Not because they avoid pain, but because they metabolize it. They transmute it into insight, depth, creation. Ask yourself, am I running from pain or rising through it? Because the furnace doesn't burn you to ash, it burns you to truth. Kill the false self before it kills you. The false self is subtle. It dresses like your personality. It speaks in the voice of your parents, your peers, your culture. It whispers, this is who you are. But Nietzsche's gaze sliced through illusion, and what he saw was terrifying. Most people are living as fictional characters, performing roles they never chose. The false self is not evil, it is safe. And that's what makes it dangerous. Because the longer you live as it, the more you forget who you were before the world told you who to be. To become unstoppable, you must first commit philosophical murder. You must kill the mask. The borrowed values, the polite submission to should. This is not rebellion for its own sake. It's excavation. The stripping away of everything that is not you. It will feel like death, but it is birth. Nietzsche understood that the most violent act is not against the world. It's against the inner lie. The courage to destroy what is false is the foundation of all greatness. Ask yourself, what part of me exists only to please, to survive, to perform? And then let it burn. Only the real you walks out of that fire. Your morality might be your cage. You think you're virtuous. But Nietzsche would ask yourself, are you moral or are you obedient? There's a difference. One comes from strength, the other from fear. And most modern morality is just fear in fancy clothes. We confuse submission for ethics. We think following rules equals being good. But often, these rules are inherited, unquestioned, designed to make you easier to control. Nietzsche called this slave morality, a morality born not from power, but powerlessness. From the desire to tame the strong, to flatten difference, to keep everyone equally mediocre. True morality doesn't shrink you, it expands you. It asks you to take radical responsibility for your values, to choose them, not inherit them, to test them in the crucible of real life. Anything else is just a leash. You say, I shouldn't do this, it's wrong. But is it wrong or just unapproved? And who made the rules you follow? Do they serve your truth or suppress it? Nietzsche didn't ask you to be immoral. He dared you to be moral on your own terms. Ask yourself, is my morality making me honest or making me small? Because a cage made of virtue is still a cage, and no greatness was ever born behind bars. Transcend. Don't conform. The Übermensch path. Nietzsche's Übermensch is not a superhero. It's not perfection. It's not dominance. It is transcendence. The raw living proof that a human being can rise above inherited values, obsolete systems, and inner weakness, and become something greater. The Übermensch is not born. It is built through fire, solitude, and the unbearable freedom of self-creation. While others conform to what is expected, the Übermensch creates the expectation. They do not follow, they forge. They do not ask, is this allowed, but is this mine? Conformity is comfort, transcendence is confrontation. You will lose people, you will lose safety, you will lose the narrative that made you feel normal, but in its place, you will gain sovereignty. Nietzsche didn't want followers, he wanted becomers. Those who dared to outgrow themselves, again and again, who did not measure their life by approval, but by becoming more real each day. Ask yourself, Where have I been copying when I should be creating? Because the path of the Übermensch is not paved, it is carved by you through will, risk, and relentless inner truth. The crowd is addicted to safety. You must not be the crowd chants freedom, but worships safety. It fears discomfort more than dishonesty. It will sell you security in exchange for your soul. Nietzsche saw this clearly. The masses don't want truth. They want to feel safe, even if it means living a lie. Safety is seductive. It's the soft voice that says, don't speak up, don't stand out, don't question. And if you obey, you'll be rewarded with mediocrity, with the illusion of peace, with a life that never burns, but also never transforms. But you, if you are to live awake, must not be like them. You must risk rejection, risk loss, risk your old self, because safety breeds stagnation, and stagnation is the slowest kind of death. Nietzsche's call was not to recklessness, but to courage, to live beyond guarantees, to choose the cliff edge over the cage. Ask yourself, what part of me still kneels to the idol of comfort? Because you can't walk the path of truth with the crowd clinging to your heels. You must walk it alone, until you become fire enough to light the way for others. Affirm life, even its pain, its chaos, its brutality. Nietzsche's greatest act of defiance wasn't criticism, it was affirmation. To say yes to life, not just to its beauty, but to its terror, to its loss, to its raw, unfiltered brutality. This is amor fati, the love of one's fate. Not passive acceptance, but passionate embrace. Most people love life only when it pleases them, when it's easy, controlled, pleasant. But to affirm only what's comfortable is not affirmation, it's preference. Nietzsche asked more of us. He asked for a sacred yes. A yes to the whole, to the storm, to the wound that taught you something no peace ever could. To affirm life means to create with it, to not just survive the chaos, but to turn it into art, into truth, into self. It is the refusal to become bitter, small, or cynical, no matter how much life strips you down. Because until you can say yes to all of it, your power remains conditional. But once you do, you become invincible. Don Pack Forge 1. The world will offer you roads, prepackaged identities, well-trodden scripts, safe blueprints for a life already lived 1,000 times. Nietzsche's response? Burn them all. You weren't born to walk someone else's way, you were born to carve your own. With sweat, risk, and a refusal to imitate. The moment you follow a path simply because it is available, you betray the wild necessity of your becoming. To forge a path is to walk into the unknown without a map. It means failing, doubting, losing your way, again and again. But with each misstep, you leave behind imitation. You become real. The path doesn't exist until you walk it. Nietzsche didn't ask for perfection. He asked for authenticity, for life lived as a question, not a repetition. The forger does not wait for permission. They bleed truth into the dirt until the way reveals itself beneath their feet. Ask yourself, am I living or replaying? Am I forging or just following? Because no path leads to you. Only you can cut through the wilderness and make the ground mean something by walking it.